Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight is August 17th. It is 5:19. This is the start of our regular scheduled Board of Education meeting for the month of August. We are opening the meeting at this time for the ability of the public to come in at the start of our meetings, as we've been informed. And at this time, I'd ask the board president to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing individual personnel matters, legal, contractual matters, and potential litigation. Motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, the board will convene into executive session. The intent is that the board would return to start their regular scheduled agenda by 6 o'clock, as long as everything works out according to the plan. Thank you very much, and we will be back after executive.
3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, you're okay. We're good.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 8:17 Board of Education meeting. We are reconvening after an executive session. At this time, we will be starting our regular Board of Education meeting. We've already had the Pledge of Allegiance at the start of the meeting for our public. In addition, the board will be going back into executive session to discuss an individual personnel matter at the end with no, I don't believe, any decisions to be made afterwards. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over for Item 2, to our board president, Mr. Warren.
Okay, so first item of action is on the minutes, so I need a motion to act on 2.01 and 2.02. And these are the minutes for our organizational meeting and then our subsequent regular business meeting occurring on July 5th.
So moved. Second.
Curiosities, discussion, comments. I gotta learn my sequence here and what I'm supposed to do. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, then the next item on the agenda is the opportunity for community members to ask questions or make comments to the board. Our policy says that the comments are limited to a 3-minute period, and the superintendent or myself may respond. We don't have to, but we would get back to you if it at some point into the future. So is there anybody that would like to come up and speak?
Hello.
Well, I'm going to interrupt since it's my first time. You have to give your name and where you live also, please.
Okay, my name
Yep, it's on.
Okay. My name is Lisa Early. I live at 928 Birchfield in Elmira, but I'm currently employed since 2001 at River Elementary as a social work assistant. I'm also a member of the newly formed Hcsd Association of Professional Support Staff, or HAPSS. We represent the following titles: cook manager, senior food service helper, licensed practical nurse, occupational therapist, speech therapist, school social worker, social work assistant, student behavior monitor. In any newly created 10 and 11-month titles for which it is determined by the association in the district or by the Public Employment Relations Board that a community of interest honesty, and accountability. Our purpose is to seek out and promote the ways that we, as an important part of the education system of Portsmouth Central School District, may better serve the better serve the school and the education of our children. To advance the standards of the support staff professions, to secure the conditions necessary to provide the best work environment for our members, to negotiate terms and conditions of employment that advance the interests of economic welfare of the membership. Over 80% of employees represented in our unit have signed union forms showing support to be a member of the association and affiliate with NYSED, AFT, NEA, and the AFL-CIO. We are here today seeking your signature on the Foundation MOA, the district's voluntary recognition of our association. That HAPSS and the district mutually agree that there exists a community of interest and that the most appropriate placement for the 10 and 11-month titles is within the Hcsd Association of Professional Support Staff. That the association and district will share all the rights and responsibilities conferred on a recognized public employee bargaining unit and public employer, pursuant to the laws and regulations of New York State, including the responsibility to negotiate in good faith. We are eager to start that process at a mutually agreed upon date in September 2023, following the execution of the post-foundation MOA agreement. Thank you for your consideration. We are excited to embark upon this new journey with the district. We are encouraged and grateful for all who have shared their support and commitment to support the work of our newly formed association, especially the other unions in the district that are here today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other individuals that would enjoy speaking with us?
Good evening. My name is Tim O'Brien, and I live at 26 Fairway Lane in Worcester, just up off the Middle Road. I know it is a public comment period, and so as indicated, there's no conversation that necessarily has to happen between them. That's not what's expected. I just wanted to convey a couple things, that I'm proud to live in a district that has a dynamic relationship with its employees and engages in bargaining with them as equals and shows them the respect that they should receive as professionals supporting our community. I'm happy to be here today in support of the folks that are proudly displaying their new association name. And so what I was hoping to hear, if you will permit a comment, is whether the board has had a chance to have a discussion about the formation of the new association and whether a decision has been made to recognize them pursuant to our discussions up till now. But again, that's my comment, and I understand you can decide how you want to respond to that. Thank you again for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Mr. O'Brien, I'll just briefly respond. It is an item on the agenda for a decision.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other individuals? Seeing none, the next item on our agenda is the student representative report, and we do not have a report tonight. So now we go to item number 5, which is the superintendent's report.
Hold on to your hats, because it's going to be a long one. We're about to start school year. Sorry, everybody. Basically, thank you, Mr. Conklin. We have our opening day kickoff that will be starting, I will tell you, come Saturday. Oh, please forgive me. Hope your shoulder's doing well. Good. We have our kickoff for athletics for the football team on Saturday because of the state rules. But everybody else within most sports teams at the varsity and JV level will be coming back on Monday. And as such, the campuses will start becoming crowded. As such, construction is still going on, so please be mindful. No more place than important than at the middle school right now. It is going to be a tight timeline, but the parking lot right now is on schedule to be done, but we will need some curing time and need people to help us out on our first couple days on the kickoff, maybe parking out back wherever we can, along the back walkway, in the field, but that will be handled by our custodial staff to make sure everybody's all set. So please, keep your fingers crossed, no rain, Mother Nature, the next couple of weeks would be outstanding. In addition, with that opening day, we will return with all of our staff on that Tuesday. The board is welcome to attend. We have 7:30 to 8. We'll have refreshments and everything for everyone in the cafeteria. And we are returning, as we can say, is to the most normal the district's been in the past 4 years, as we are reconvening in the auditorium for the first time since the September of 2019. So I'm welcoming everybody back, and we will have our opening. Our opening is intended to be absolutely, sincerely short. The purpose is that what we can say, we can probably say really quickly, and what matters most is people getting time to get ready for 2 days for the kids coming back the following after Labor Day. And I want to thank everybody, especially the HTA, in helping to make those 2 days possible, because we've heard numerous times how beneficial it was for everybody to have that and then just start off with the students. So we're looking forward to that. Don't have a theme yet, but I know the theme is about our impact in my mind right now that we have every day with each individual student, and that we need to make the most of it, because I hate to say it, across the world, across the states, we're the best thing they've got sometimes besides their mom and dad. And we need to make sure that we get them to the place where all of us as graduates get success. Ladies and gentlemen, busing for the new school year has started. The Transportation Center is inundated today because we want to make sure we got it right, and there's still some things. And luckily, we're doing it 15 days to 18 days before the start of school. So many people have called in this afternoon just to update or ask questions. And by many, remember, we only have 2 lines in. So when you talk to 8 people, that's many. So please understand, if you have any issues, contact the transportation, leave name, number, the issue, email the transportation, look online, there's contact information there, we will address it. We are trying to make sure our runs are the best for the kids that need a ride. For those parents that don't need a ride and have told us, that's great, but if you do need a ride during the year or your plans change, all you have to do is contact the transportation department and they will work it out. That is one of our guarantees, no matter what, and has always been the case. The big thing we ask is in the first couple of weeks that people have patience, because we will have to try to get everybody back in the routine of drop-offs, pickups, and drop-offs throughout the year. The first 2 weeks are usually critical. So please be aware, look for information coming out. If I could ask for the overhead to come on and the computer. We have been working on the image. We talked about it at the last board meeting, that we were refining the image to make it more our own so that we can copyright and potentially submit it for trademark, I think was the board's discussion with me. At this point, it's going to pop up here in a minute, so I'm just going to get out of the way. If you notice, this was the image, not quite that was voted in, but it's the same concept and dynamic. This image has added more of the main because it was cut off, and it was a public domain image. So we wanted to make it more not just public domain, but more specifically horses. We actually had an artist realign the head so it wasn't straight down like it was bowing, but out a little, and we added a little more. What we heard is a lot of people liked it because it could be made into a tattoo. I have to say, I didn't look at it that way, but I do see it. We will have different ways of representing this with black outlines clear, with gray, black. This will be the major image that we will use, along with, as you can see, the upper part of the neck is the underscore, which the H can be placed above it. And we are also having a blue Raider image to merge below it as well. So it can be used as the head. It can be used as the head with the insignia of the H. It can be used with the name, Blue Raiders, or it can be used with all 3. So we will have that, and we will be putting out sort of a branding copy so you can see which way it goes. If it's on black, it should be this. If it's on blue, it should be this. To try to make sure we really incorporate the blue, white, black, and gray, which are sort of known as the school colors, but black and gray are very subtle. Board, are you okay with that? Can I have a thumbs up if we're okay to move forward in trying to copyright trademark? This is officially in place after we get to discuss it.
Sorry, I just have a quick question.
Sure.
So are there, I mean, obviously there's rating guidelines on where to put the H and stuff like that, but what about like the different sports teams? Like if they want to say, you know, this is for swimming, this is for football, this is, where does that, is there guidelines on where that should go?
I would ask
creative freedom.
the athletic office or the extracurriculars to try to look at that. They just need permission to use this from the district, and just making sure that we're representing it the right way. But I think that's an individual decision I think my administrators can make for the best interest. Now, when we do have something that's a nice image, we want to try to get it to a branding book so that people can reuse that image too.
Right.
So it's a hand-in-hand work between athletics, extracurricular, building principal, and our communication.
So booster clubs could come up with something, send it to
Yes.
Mr. Datay, get
Yes.
approval before getting things printed for
Correct.
spirit wear orders and things like that.
We will try to work out a preferred vendor, because just like with Ohio, they do things in Jubilee and Target with their own image, and they have signed agreements saying whatever profit they make, we get a percentage. That was the intent, that our image is not just a free image, but it's to support our programs and everything if other people are making profit out of this. Yes?
Two questions. Do we have a timeline as to when you think this will be like copyrighted and done?
It's a process the attorneys will lead. I just don't know how long. But they said the first thing we just do is put the C on it, and then we start going through. And we'll be told whether or not we can get a trademark or not. But the copyright means people do have to contact us to use that exact image.
Okay. And then if we do get a preferred vendor, do we have to do an RFP to?
We may want to do a RFP to get the possible best preferred vendor. We also have to do it as a professional service, possibly. I'll leave that in Katie's hands because she'll tell me, no, you're doing it wrong, or we can stay away.
Procurement.
Yes. But good question. Other questions? So hopefully this will be the start, this will be up, start of the school year. This is sort of hit the ground running. We are getting ready to put this in the locker rooms as well. When we do something, we will look at it for new courts and so forth as we are taking down the former image, and that is a process. Okay, thank you. Now I need to go back in front. Board of Education should be aware that under the executive are your committee assignments. For committees, just so that you know, the Board of Education has two. It's audit, and it's also policy. On the policy, I believe, is Doug Johnson, Dan Christmas, Marianne Holleran, and Katrina Umvarsky. On audit is Christine Dale, Kevin Adams, Aaron Chavone, Liz Odell.
I was gonna say.
Yes, okay.
It's not under executive for this meeting, but it was under.
It might be under the superintendent's report.
Okay.
Like, it's just, all I did was just put in there copies that I can put up later on the website so that you can see them. And then all the others. Information on the time and meeting dates of those will be sent out to you from Terry, as we've already started doing the calendar, so that you can get it onto your calendar. We'll start working on that tomorrow. Okay, committees. Let's see. Census. Tony.
Sure. Kay and I had a follow-up meeting with our demographer about the census undertaking. We currently already do a census every year. We ask the community to send in information about who's in their household. This year it's be a little bit different, that we're going to be using this contracted service to get more detailed results and use them appropriately in determination of the consolidation efforts 2 years out. So we're just asking everybody to be on the lookout for information to be coming home and be sent out from the district about this process and how it's going to be a little bit different than what was done in the past for the census.
Found it. Just enough time, so thank you.
Can I?
Please.
Tony, what's usually our participation rate in that census? Off the top.
Susan? What do you got?
Bobby wants you.
You're right.
Fair.
Usually about 30 to 35%,
That
I
sounds
think,
about right.
is what we've seen whenever we've done anything major. I will tell you, our bus seating request was about 65%. So people paid attention. It always depends on which question you're asking sometimes. But in general, we need to do this as we get ready for September 1, 2025, and at least the one good part about the census and demographer is they said, oh, usually people ask us to do this in 6 months' time. We've given almost a year and a half, so we're not really trying to rush it through. We're trying to do it as best we can in this rate. Yes?
So, refresh my memory, if I remember in finance last spring, we discussed whether we should do mailings, because the company was, as I recall, iffy, because your response rate wouldn't be so strong, and they had other methodologies that we discussed. So I'm not sure where we're at now based on what I'm remembering from the spring.
Yeah, that is correct. So the mailings we decided will be generated in-house to avoid that cost that we looked at. That was a conversation we just had with that group. So we can do a lot cheaper than asking them to use the means that they use. What's the acronym for postal? EDDM? Yes, it's a service provided by the post office to send mass mailings.
It's like the electronic district mail.
It costs way too much, and we saw that during finance, that we wouldn't be employing that service, but we would use other ways of the current list that we have, as well as other measures. The demographers, remember, look to have a response rate similar to what we were just talking about. They'll need 20 to 30% of the community to participate, to have good information to work with. The more they get than that, the better. This is not their sole source of information. As you might remember, they're collecting already data from the county and the state and trends in similar communities around the state. It's not their only means of making and helping us with this decision.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, a couple more. Athletics is about to start, like we said. We are awaiting numbers in certain modified areas, as well as we already have advanced numbers that we know of. And like we said, in modified, we are still trying to deal with participation. Charles, do you want to step and tell us what we potentially need at this point? I just want to make sure the board's okay.
Yeah, so I need the numbers as of 20 minutes ago. Modified football is at 50. 50 young men signed up, and that makes it very difficult for participation in games because there's a rule they have to play one full quarter. And if you did that, kids would literally play, depending on the pace of the game, maybe one offensive series, one defensive series, really depends. So difficult there. Yeah.
And if I can add, for the most part, we've never had cuts in football whatsoever, just because of the fact that injuries play a role as well. Charles has come to me with a possible solution of creating a secondary schedule so that kids can get more playing time. Same kids, but it would require an additional coach at the modified level, because at a game, there must be 2 coaches. At a practice, there can be 1. And those that haven't gotten playing time can go to this game. Those that need more practice will go here to make sure they balance it out. Is that what your proposal is?
Yeah, that's accurate. There's been some schools that have actually dropped their modified teams, so there's some open schedules, if you will, that we can fill right in. So it's not an issue at the sectional level. And then going back to the coaches, same thing. I've worked with the varsity head coach as well. We have one group left behind. We're not going to leave them with one coach. We're going to send an assistant down there and make sure that that is well supervised and taken care of. So the football numbers are pretty high. The other one is modified soccer. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I clarify a question on football?
Yeah.
So, the modified football. So, are you saying there will be 2 teams, or essentially one team with sort of a blue side and a white side?
Yeah, there will be one team that will function as one, but we will break them up for different schedules. So that way, we're not sending 50 to a contest and have to try to get their playing time. We're sending 25.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is playing more games than originally planned to give, and we can accommodate, that many kids on the team.
Yeah, no, those rosters will be split evenly.
Okay.
Me and my coaches will make sure that's done properly.
We were concerned about creating like a 7th grade and 8th grade because our 7th graders would be playing some 8th and 9th grade players, so we wanted to keep them all together.
Yeah, it's up.
Do you have the equipment to field 50 kids?
We do.
Okay.
Barely, but we have.
Okay.
So we're good there. The other sport is modified soccer. Currently, their numbers are at 37, but coaches have come to me months ago with a list that was in the low 50s. So they still have 3 weeks to sign up, but 37 alone still makes it very difficult. They play 4 quarters, 15 minutes long, and the rule there is that every modified player has to play 15 minutes, so 1 full quarter. And if you did that, even with 37, it's very, very difficult. And again, it minimizes their ability to play a game. So the thought there would be to go to a second team like we've done in the past, and allow that participation to.
But depending on the numbers, we may still have some reductions, and I leave that to Charles because it has to be those students that have a penchant for not being able to necessarily defend themselves. But they look at that through the criteria, similar to what we did with baseball, I think volleyball, and everything else. Questions on soccer?
Not just in general with all modified. Are you also seeing higher registrations at the JV and varsity level too?
Yeah, that's the exciting part. Right now we have 367 kids, I believe it was, signed up for fall, and that's just at the high school level, which is an extraordinarily large number. So it's looking good. I mean, all of our teams are filled in terms of numbers of requirements. They're all completely there. And again, other schools, they're cutting sports because they don't have the numbers. We are not in that boat, so we're ready.
And our JV and varsity programs will have reductions because of the size of the team. It's very hard to field a second team there
Right,
because
right.
they just can't.
But it's good to have the
Yeah.
feeder pool
Right.
at the because abilities and bodies and everything can drastically change from modified level up, right?
Yeah, and that goes back to the football and soccer discussions. The hope is that with the increased playing time in competition, you're going to keep a lot of those kids coming back. But if they're going and playing, 1 quarter and sitting and watching the rest, it's really hard for a kid to stay committed the way we want them committed as they move on. But our numbers are very, very good, very, very strong.
Is that the same for boys and girls soccer?
It is not. Girls soccer has 19 signed up right now, so numbers are drastically different there. They would stay with 1 team because their playing time would not be impacted as same as boys.
At least that you know of right now.
As of
that's
right
the
now,
numbers.
there's still some time, of course.
But if they spike, you'd be looking at the balance there as well.
Correct.
Okay, what else? Oop, go ahead.
Charles, are you looking at another head coach or assistant coaches?
For,
These are assistants.
Okay.
well, soccer would be a head coach.
Yeah.
Because we have a separate team, so it'd be a
Okay.
separate coach. Football would just be an assistant level coach.
With the 2-coach rule, then would we need a head coach and an assistant for the second soccer team?
No, that rule doesn't pertain to soccer. It
Okay.
pertains to football, because football is just a little different animal.
Right.
So it's approached a little differently from the second.
Even though soccer is a contact sport.
Oh, 100%. But it's a stack sport, and football is not a stack sport. It's actually just a section sport, so their rules are a little different.
Yeah.
And the nature of the game is different, even though both teams have it. And I think that's.
So it's basically 1 additional for boys soccer at this point, 1 additional for football, anything else?
Nope, I would just say modified level, we're not.
And it's all modified level.
Modified level, we're not looking to make cuts at all except for volleyball. Volleyball's gonna be a very tough one for us this year with 45 signed up right now. That's one of those sports that even if you wanted to keep them on, you just physically can't
And
do
we
it.
have 2 teams with them.
And we have 2 teams, yeah, so we're still gonna be, we wanna have deep rosters, no doubt. We will do that, but we will not be able to keep all.
And one final question, the emphasis of anybody, whether it's varsity, JV, modified, is once we know that, I know they have to tell you about any reductions. Our goal is for the coaches and the athletic department to try to get them involved in one of our community programs if possible.
100%, they'll be given opportunities for community programs, but also the intramural program is something that's in discussion now as well. Another opportunity we want to bring back to our kids in schools. So we're looking to increase those opportunities every year.
So what I need from the board when we get to board comment at the end is, I need the board to tell me if we're still good to go with the former board's discussion about trying to make this happen. Okay, thank you very much, Charles. The other part is SROs, because everybody's wondering about SROs, because I guess there was a press release that the district was never made aware of, sent out by the village, indicating that they were withdrawing from the SRO program. And we understood they were talking to us while we were actually negotiating a contract, and it did come to us as a surprise, especially when we also found out that there was discussions with the county agency without involving the district at all. And I feel sad that I even have to have that discussion, because we did agree that any such discussions of the program would always involve all three parties. Needless to say, the SRO program is being withdrawn by the village of Hcsd. We have already had a discussion with Chemung County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Bill Schramm has been very forthcoming, very easy to work with, and he has indicated the support that they will support us. Some of our officers that were with the village will be moving to the Sheriff's Department, and they will be looking for replacements. There may be some additional costs coming, but I assume that the board wishes me to go down this path and ensure that we still have our SROs, because it is a valuable program. And we look forward with partnering with Chemung County. I will be talking to Bill tomorrow, Sheriff Schramm, sorry, tomorrow, to maybe do a press release of saying that our mutual discussions are beneficial for the students of Hcsd. Now, to be fair for Hcsd Police, they will still be responding to our calls. As they indicated, they still want this. This is a financial decision and a staffing decision on their part. I just wish there was further discussion. So we wish them well as well, and we also wish good collaboration and partnership between the Sheriff's Department, the village, as I know they will also maintain that with the New York State Troopers, who have always supported us, whether it's at a board meeting, at a game, or at a contest, or just an event in the district. So we wish to assure the community that we will have SRO. Is that fair enough to say, Stady? I mean, Amy? Stady? Did I state it okay? Okay. Couple last things so that the board knows. I'm almost done. We sent this out to all community members, courtesy of our community engagement, which is information on the Board of Education. If you did not get it, please just check with our communication office. I want to say thanks Sue Perizzolo for putting this together, as well as our community engagement team from last year, as it gives some information as well as the meetings, and everyone that's a district resident and has a mailing address should have received this already in the summer. In addition, Board of Education meeting, we're going to update the schedule now that we have the presentations from some of our discussions over evaluations and with the board. We will start in September with a district grant review. In October, we're going to start talking about the electrification of our bus fleet. Woo-hoo. We're hoping the state will have that discussion before then, but I doubt it, because that will be a challenge for all districts across New York State. In addition, the 16th, we will have a presentation by the Wellness Committee for a wellness presentation as we kick that off. In December, we will be returning to our district educational data review, because by that time, hopefully, State Ed has given all the data across all of our assessments so that we can update the board on our standing and where we are focusing. As well as in January, we'll be looking at a capital project review and update, because that's sort of the downtime in the middle of the year, even though capital will be going on. Then, of course, we'll have our wonderful 6 meeting budget presentations and my illustrious state of the school presentation that everybody loves, except for the amount of time it takes. Sort of like this update. And then we will end the year as we start our hiring process, reviewing with the board the hiring, our competitiveness with other districts throughout the area from HR. And then also at the June meeting, we'll have athletics return with participation, accountability for the entire year, but most importantly, the end data on the second year of our athletic, extracurricular, academic eligibility program. which we've been seeing some good signs, but we want to see if it continues and gets the data for that. So is the board okay with those presentations along the lines of what they had asked, I think, in our evaluations? Okay, we will get that ready. And the last thing is our school busing information. Like I said earlier, it's out. We do have a unique situation with daycare because daycare is always very difficult in this time for any district. And we want to thank the daycares that are out there, but our transportation is usually to daycares that are within the boundaries, and in order to cross boundaries, it would have to be a not-for-profit daycare. But we also only did that because we had a not-for-profit. We did experience some significant challenges at the end of last year, and we luckily had a business partner that came in and has taken over, which has provided immediate service. The hard part is because it's for a profit, we cannot ship across district boundary lines because then if we do it, we would have to do it for every for-profit daycare. So as I've mentioned, it's not any fault of that daycare. It is at the last minute. Our families have already either contracted to have their children at that daycare, busing is already set up, that this year, my recommendation to the board is that we continue as planned that we have with this daycare that's in the middle of our district. And we will notify them that at the end of the year, we will also have to notify our families that unless you're in the district of boundary, we can no longer continue it. And we will only be doing it for this daycare for the duration of this year because they're caught in the middle and we don't want them to be. Is that pretty much the interest of the board at this point? And I think that's at least the easy way that we catch hopefully nobody in the middle and give people time to prepare. Thumbs up or yes, no? Are we okay with that process? Katie, if you can make that work in the transportation center. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, again, we look forward to the start of the school year. Once the kids get back, things get easier and harder all at the same time. But it's nice to hear when the halls are full, the questions, the comments, and seeing the successes, and even some of the difficulties that go on because we know we're trying to provide that help, and I want to thank the staff, whether it's for HAPS, whether it's for HESA, whether it's HDA, whether it's HAA, all the acronyms that are out there, all of our collective organizations. We look forward to seeing them because honestly, I think I have one of the best staffs in the area, both administratively, instructionally, and support-wise, that we really are heading in the right direction. I want to thank the board for that courtesy as well. That concludes my report for August 17th. Yay! And notice it's before 7 o'clock. Any questions? I want to make this go on and on.
All right, so next we have agenda item number 6. 6.01 is the president's report. I have nothing to report at this point in time. And 6.02 is the audit committee report, and 6.03 is the policy committee report. And there are no reports from either committee at this point in time. So next we move on to item 7, and we need a motion on 7.02 through 7.24.
So, second.
Curiosities, discussion, comments.
I have a question. Figure out which number, 7.19, the athletic training services agreement. I just didn't compare this against the prior year's agreement, but I'm curious, are we receiving the same, and do we contract for a certain number of hours? Is the number consistent with the previous year? Did we go up, down? We went up, okay. And
Did the price go up?
It did a little bit, but we added a second trainer. So we have a modified specific trainer, and we have a junior varsity specific trainer. So we have coverage at all of our events down through March.
yeah, that's actually, I think that's well worth the cost, so I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
So I had a comment on 7.19 also. I'm excited to see, as you said, the two trainers, and not only are we having the trainers, as I understand the contract, at games, there's going to be office hours during the week, so I'm assuming if somebody's injured, they can go to the trainer. Could you speak a little bit about how you envision that working and where those office hours will be?
Yeah, so last year we started, you want me to speak up there?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I know you have a big voice.
I got no problem.
Warren's is bigger, and I still make him use a microphone.
All right, so last year we started bringing the trainer back, and we had office hours Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here in the South Gym, where any student athletes in season or off season could go and see her to get checked out for whatever may be happening. This year, a little bit of movement because our great stadium's almost done, and there's an athlete training room down there, which is amazing. Her office hours will be down there every day from that 3:15 to 4:15 period. After that, she will go out to practices and/or games, whatever that may be. The modified athletic trainer will be up at the middle school every day, 3:15 to 4 o'clock in that range for office hours that any kid can go. But then she will also be going to practices and/or games. I had them at my coach meeting just on Tuesday. All their contact information was given out. Our coaches do a great job of texting them and saying, hey, need someone checked out tomorrow. They make sure that they do that. So the office hours are a set time every day now because they're here every day. So a set time every single day. And that's why those hours, Mr. Christensen, adjusted a little bit because I took into account.
Will that be throughout the entire school year? Because when we, right now we have the outdoor area, but come winter, we'll move into the gym. It will still be every day.
Yeah.
Where will they be at the middle school? Because I just don't know the place at the middle school.
Yeah, so that's a discussion with Mr. Ron Holloway, and we're trying to figure that out.
Okay.
Once school gets going, it's a little bit of there's some bigger projects up there right now to worry about. So once that's settled, we will figure out a place and get them settled in. And
Okay.
we did make
And then the same thing for spring as well.
Correct. They'll be back outside in the spring.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So last spring, in our last meeting, you indicated there was going to be an app for smartphones that coaches were going to download. Is that happening?
Yes, actually, I created the app last year, but coaches are continuing this year. They have a Hcsd app on their phone. It gives everything they need right at the touch of their finger. And then also Final Forms, which is our new registration program. That's another application that's in my app as well, but you can do it standalone. They'll use that every day, and that's to improve communication between the nurses, myself, coaches, because our days get busy. But that Final Forms app really allows them to stay on top of injuries or academics issues.
Can you add that as part of your report in June as an update on where it all stood, how it worked?
Yeah, actually, yeah, and you'll love it. There's so many reports on there, but there's a Title IX report, there's a participation report, all these
Concussion report and stuff?
There will be once, hopefully we don't have any concussions.
No, we don't, but they seem to happen.
We do sway testing as well for concussions. Our athletic trainers do that. First week of practices, they baseline concussion test all of our student athletes. So if anything does happen, they have something to compare to. And last year it came in very helpful. So everyone's doing it this year, even modified with our initial trainer.
Thank you.
So is that a vehicle that these trainers could use to communicate about injuries to coaches, or is that only tied in with the nurse and the coach?
Yeah, so trainers can use it, but I'm not allowing them to input information because they do not have the power to clear student athletes or take student athletes out. Nurses do. So they will use it to communicate with nurses, but nurses ultimately make those decisions if someone's out. That's come from a doctor's note. So they will control that clearance aspect. But absolutely they can use it to communicate with coaching and coaches. And
one of the precautionaries, Mr. Conklin, is the fact that coaches should not have sway over the athletic trainer because sometimes relationships can be there. Next thing you know, everybody says, well, why is that child on the field? Well, the trainer cleared it really should have that separation. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I think what we're trying to say is we've got this tool, we're gonna have them be that sort of, now, that sort of unbiased person that's gonna make the determination, and then we're gonna go through the protocols with nursing, nurse practitioner, our medical, before the coaches can be involved. And it's a protection for the coaches, protection for the students, and protection for the staff.
There's also something happens during the day. You know, what our nurses have been doing is they've been sending individual emails out. That's time consuming. You know, our nurses are very busy, so now they can just update the app, and when a coach looks at the roster, their kid will now be in red. They can click on it and say, oh, kid hurt his ankle in the PE class, he's out. And they already know. So it's streamlined communication and it saves time for everyone involved.
Just as a parent that just had to use everything to sign her kid up and then get physicals uploaded and everything and notifications that came out, actually, it was good. And
Good to hear.
kept, you know, because I got the red alert that, oh, I don't have an updated physical, and so it worked well.
And our nurses thank them too. They're working so hard right now, trying to get everyone's physicals in there for family ID, and they're working really hard, so thank them. Yeah, it's a good thing. Love it. Thanks.
I have one other comment for Katie. On item 7.22, health and welfare contract with Ithaca, that's for last year, correct?
Yes.
And so this is exceedingly, abnormally late, I
We
guess.
just received it back from Ithaca. We missed the July meeting for it. They sent it back very late.
May I ask a question just because?
I don't know.
No, the reason why I asked this question is, I thought once it gets outside the budgeted year, they can't ask for billing.
This is money due to us.
Oh, this is money due to us, not us paying them. Okay, so they're just refunding.
So again, there's an obligation to provide, an obligation to pay, kind of
Yes.
that's the formality.
I know on the
Very
obligation
slow,
to pay,
very late. So we have talked internally, you know, is there a better way that, you know, maybe we want to take it to our board first? And that way, you know, we're not bringing it to you so late after the fact. It's already been approved on our end, and then if they lag, I mean, we have the payment. This is just the,
sort of like if it's for us, we'll do us first. If it's them, we do them once they get it to us. That's all we can do.
right, and they're certainly not this slow. I mean, there's some slowness, but this one was exceptionally slow.
Any reason why? Not on our part.
Not enough right now.
I must remind the board that you need 5 votes to be able to pass this resolution, just in case somebody abstains. I cannot have more than 2 abstain because it's the legal requirement of the district and we must fulfill contracts.
Okay.
So I'm just saying that as a potential warning, Katie.
Kind of just want to say one thing, so if you look at the document, it's dated February 10th, 2023, received by the business office July 10th.
So we sent it to them.
We did.
They just didn't get it back.
And maybe it was an oversight on their part, but we had it.
Do you know anybody up in Ithaca?
Not on this one.
All in favor, say aye. Oh, I thought we had the motion.
He has, yes,
Yeah.
he has said that. You can now call for the vote on the whole package first.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna do. I took your advice, I'm gonna go with it this time. All right, so now, see, I'm all new at this and you have me flustered. So, we've first and seconded 702 through 724. So now I'm calling for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
We got at least 5, right? And there you
I
go.
figured I knew you were close. close on this one. All right, so moving on to agenda item 8, we have 8.02 and 8.03. 8.02 is the HR recommendations, and 8.03 is the resolution to recognize the Horseheads Association of Professional Support Staff.
May I ask the board to consider a motion from the floor to separate 8.03 out on its own? So do 8.01 and 8.02 together, and 8.03 as a separate individualized motion from the floor. But I would need a motion and a second if the board were so inclined.
Do I have so can the superintendent make a motion, or I have to have somebody else make a motion?
I move that we modify the agenda to vote on item 8.02 independently of item 8.03.
I second.
We have discussion.
Curiosities, discussion, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, so now we're going to vote on 8.02, the HR recommendations. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Curiosities, discussion, comments?
Yes, I just need to, when we do the vote, abstain from page 5 on the extracurriculars due to a family conflict.
Do you want the whole page or a specific number?
Just section Q.
Okey-dokey. No problem.
Any others? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we have Ms. Chavon abstaining on Q of the report. All right, so now I don't know what we're calling 8.03.
8.03.
Is it? Okay. All right, so now we need a motion to approve 8.03, the resolution to recognize the Horseheads Association of Professional Support Staff.
So moved.
Second.
Curiosities, discussion, comments?
Yes.
Just for the board, I want to thank everybody that's coming out, as well as the leadership offered by Tim and his staff in bringing this to fruition. Obviously, it's my recommendation. I just can't sign that MOU until I get the board's authorization and recommendation. Fully support it, and once the vote of the board is done, tomorrow we will issue.
So my question and point of clarification is what happens to the current contract when we,
All items of the current contract have been separated and remain in place
okay, and for how long?
for the duration of the contract until its successor agreement is negotiated or entered into by both parties.
All right, so now I call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
You are hereby now formed. I'll send you
Congratulations.
I like the sparkliness level.
That sounds like Tom Martin for Christmas.
No, I can't endorse any one over the other, but no, I appreciate it, so thank you.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
We move to agenda item 9, miscellaneous items for action, 9.02 through 9.04. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Curiosities, discussion, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? There are no first policy, so there's no comments on section 10 or 11 of the agenda. So now we move to the final agenda item, and that is board member comments.
Just, Dr. Douglas, in response to your comment earlier about input from the board on the procedures we're following for the athletic programs. So I'm very much in support of the idea that at the modified level, we try to maximize participation to the extent possible, and to the, I think the idea of, and which is exactly what you're doing, right? Finding ways to try to include as many kids as possible, whether that's, an A and a B in football, on one team, whatever the case may be. So I think we should continue to do that. Regrettably, there may be times when just the numbers don't allow everyone to participate, and then, I think we follow our processes for making reductions as, fairly as possible. I would say, and I know this is not, I don't think you were suggesting otherwise, but I do think as we move up to the JV level and then ultimately the varsity, the idea of competitiveness starts to increase in importance ultimately at the varsity level, right? They want to field as competitive a team as possible. So, just to be crystal clear, I think our philosophy, as we go up sort of the pyramid, and there will be reductions at the higher levels, we want to field the best teams possible. But I also think it's great that we're trying to then find opportunities, facilitate opportunities outside of the schools in the intramurals for kids that can't participate. So, I'm in favor of that process, sort of that pyramid type shape.
And just so the board knows, really our understanding is we do not have a no-cuts procedure or policy. We are trying to maximize participation at all levels as best we can. More so at the modified level, but there may be reductions. Our goal is, like you said, to find them connections one way or another. Definitely the JV and varsity levels, there are usually reductions, but we do try to do that. But please understand, as a community, as a board, we do have reductions where we have to have reductions, but we're trying to minimize it. And I thank you for those comments.
Thank you.
I'm just going to echo those comments. I think it is great that we are providing more opportunities and recognizing in doing that, we're going to end up being more competitive at the JV and varsity level because we're going to have more kids that are involved, and then they're going to continue to advance their skill sets. And I think that is really an opportunity. And I know it's difficult, particularly when you get kids at the modified level who have been playing since they were 5. They're going to want to be more competitive, and their families are going to want it to be a more competitive environment. But it's also nice to have kids have the opportunity who haven't been doing it since they were 5, be given the opportunity to try it out because it could help develop that love of the sport. So I think it's great that we're doing that, and I just want to thank everybody who's been involved in that, and just ask families for their patience with it and their support of it, of all the kids that are involved in these modified sports.
I will comment on the sports. I think it's wonderful that we're providing these opportunities. I got a few athletes in my family, and I agree that they need these opportunities to learn and think. But I also agree with what Dan is saying about the cuts, and I think it's a learning experience. And it's not always what you want, but it's what has to be. And I think that we're providing, not that we're encouraging cuts, but it's a lesson of life. And then I also want to direct a comment to the Sparkly group. Our surveys and evaluations and discussions and things throughout the entire year since, COVID and all of that, always seemed to focus on the need for social and emotional help for our children. And articles that I've read times, it just always comes up. And you can't further on to curriculum until that emotional and social need is met. So bravo, and thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
First, I wanted to share my support as well for athletics. I agree with the modified sports, as many opportunities as possible for as many kids. Dr. Douglas did have a question. I'm looking for an answer right now. But what happened with the late bus? Are we waiting?
We've
until-
never had one.
Okay.
But as we go through some of our shifts, that would be a hopeful goal.
Okay.
It's going to be cost and transportation studies. I am happy to report to the board that today I signed 7 new bus drivers in for training. So we are having people come through, so that's a good thing. I think when we look at we're a couple of years away from that. I do believe, however, if this district ever has the ability to add a late bus and I'm just saying this right now, middle level and high school level, participation in extracurriculars will take off. Because we have an underrepresented population that just cannot get to or from school. They may go one way or the other, but it's the timing, and we've known that, and all schools have this issue. I was lucky I grew up in a time where there was a 5:30 bus. Even if I didn't have a sport or something to do, I had that green pass that I could stay late and my mom didn't know about. I will tell you, even that helps students engage. You just want to make sure they're not engaging the wrong way. So those are things I think we will want to try to aspire, but we have to build them in over time.
And then one other comment, I do again want to share the kudos for the social work team and all of our support staff. But my daughter went through the 5th grade orientation this week and walked out with her head held high, very confident in going into the intermediate school. So I want to say kudos. That program was awesome and took away so much anxiety. And I heard from a lot of other parents too. It was great. So good job.
We need a vote.
I will need a vote of support saying.
All right, I can do that before I have my comments. So, all right, do I do a thumbs up or do we actually take a vote?
I would actually ask for a resolution saying that you support the continued modified program development as previous boards have done at this point, so that I have that official direction.
Who wants to make that motion?
I would suggest waiting till we're done with board comments and then close it up with that. So just point of order.
Okay. I take all recommendations. All right, I do have one comment. Congratulations. I reiterate all of the more eloquent people that praised you. And then on an entirely different note, maybe some of you are fans of Sex and the City, and reading. And I'm sure you were aware then, because I wasn't, that there was a sequel called And Just Like That. And we have a student, a Hcsd student, that's going into her sophomore year, and she was in an episode 7, season number 2. So if you want to go stream it, I told you where you can go find it. But her name is Lucy McKenzie, and she is going to be a sophomore this year. So I know that's a little offbeat, but I think it's quite an achievement. So we can say we have somebody on the TV in our school.
Did you watch it?
I did. She played a high school student, so it fit rather easily. And I was just made aware of it this week, so it's on 8 Max, I think is where I found it. So you can go find it there. And I did go home and I looked at it and I watched the episode. And so, and I found it funny for that too.
I have to say, Mr. Conklin, I was wondering where you were going. But I'm so glad you got there in the end. No, congratulations to students as well.
Right.
Wonderful story.
All right, so now I think you have to get back to a motion.
Oh, we should have done that.
See,
If I can, just before a motion, just so that we can go from that motion back into executive session with the last motion. I'd like to introduce, if I can ask Joe Kohler to stand up. He just started this week. Joe is our new Director of Instruction. We'll be joining Tony's staff along with Tiffany, who's back there. We want to welcome you to the district as you help us, especially moving forward with a lot of transitions that we have. So welcome.
Thank you, Board and Dr. Bettis, for the opportunity. Everyone's extremely welcome, and let's take it, sir.
I hope board meetings in Hammondsport were this calm.
Set the bar high.
I'm sure they didn't talk about pop culture. All right, so now we have to go back to serious work, and that would be a motion. Who wants to frame the motion and wordsmith the motion?
Give it a shot. I'd like to make a motion that the districts continue with the approach toward maximum participation in modified athletics as described in the minutes of this evening's board meeting.
Second.
Oh, I gotta get curiosities, discussion, comments. I gotta get my sequence going here. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I think this ends the meeting, and now I know you're gonna go home and watch that episode. Okay. Now I'm advised we have to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a personnel issue.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Good night, everyone. Travel safely.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be entering into executive session. The board will reconvene out of executive session once it's done to adjourn the meeting. There is no additional district business that would be conducted. Thank you very much for coming out. This video is also available on our district website for the issue of transparency with our community. I want to thank everybody, and let's get ready and be safe on the streets for our buses heading out in a couple weeks. Have a good night.